I'm Karen McCarthy, and it's time to Karen-ize. Today's Friday, that's when we do some crafting, but before we get into that, I wanted to give a big thanks to the people who've been helping my channel get off the ground. And you can do that by subscribing, doing a like, making a comment. All those kinds of things really help. So if you haven't done that, I would love it if you would, and just help us to get off the ground. Anyway, let's get crafting. Today we're going to turn this spring gnome sign from Dollar Tree into something for St. Patrick's Day. I had a friend give me this. I have not seen it at my local store, but she was traveling and found it. So it does not come with a green hat. I just had painted it before I thought to hit record. And I'm right now just painting the body and the hat, this really cool spring green color. Just making sure that I try not to get it all over where the beard is going to go. I mean, you can always paint over it, but it's best for me to try to do it right the first time. So you can see that is actually a flower. And if I wanted to later on, I could take the St. Patrick's Day stuff off and turn it into a spring gnome. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I'm just kind of doing a second coat over most of it right now to make sure it's covered very well. And now I'm getting, I think, the white out. I'm going to just paint the beard once. I don't remember if it's in the recording, but I do go back later on and I kind of pounce paint on it so it gives it kind of a textured look, and especially around the edges so it has kind of a feathery look at the edges of the beard. You can kind of see I'm doing it right now, but I have to go back later on to get it to look really well. There's my dog going as fast as he can. Excuse the mess in the background. I didn't realize that so much of my craft room was showing, and I have a disaster. I have like several projects going at once. So that's what you see kind of in the background there. All right, so now I'm going to paint the boots, and I could do a lot of detail there, but I decided to just paint it quickly black and not do a whole lot with it. Sometimes I put a button or I paint laces or something like that. But with this one, I decided to just leave it like this. And now I tried to show you the color. I think it's called light tan or something like that. It was very, very thick, a really old bottle of paint. So I decided to just stick my brush down in, and in real life, it's got a little bit of texture because it was so thick, but it's not a big deal. It looks fine. Painting his hands and nose the flesh color. So just about done with that. Now I'm going to, what am I going to do? Let's see. Oh, next step. This is a Chalk Couture silkscreen stencil. I'm putting it on my pant leg right there to get just a little bit of lint on it so that it doesn't stick to the paint. And now I'm just smoothing it on. These are self-sticking, reusable. So I'm just making sure I've got it stuck down there really well, especially along the top there where it's kind of got to follow the edge of the wooden cutout. And now I'm getting some chalk paste. I must have had to get up to go get it. Here I am. Okay, I've got some chalk paste, and this is a shimmer color. It's got a little bit of metallic in it, so it gives it just a little pizzazz. And if you've never used these products, you can get them with Chalk Couture, Maker Studio, Magnolia Design. I've even seen some generic type ones on Amazon, but they're self-sticking silk screen transfers, and they just give so much depth and dimension to the design. So I'm just putting the chalk paste on there and working it through until I don't see that kind of lime green color anymore. That means that I've covered it completely. You can look so talented with these transfers, and you don't have to be. So just working it through to the very end. When I get done, I take this over to the sink. I just wash all of the paint off and all the lint off of the other side. Then I put it sticky side up to dry, put the backer back on, and it's ready for use the next time. Super easy. So we're going to pull it up and see Look at that. And I love the silkscreen effect because you can get all these little dimension, little distress marks and things like that. It's always good to put the lid back on as quickly as possible because chalk paste does dry out. Now I'm taking some antiquing wax. Normally I do this with a little paintbrush or stencil pouncing brush, but I didn't want to get it on the beard and it was kind of tricky. So I just took a Q-tip and I'm just putting some of the antiquing wax around the edges just to give it a little dimension. Then I take a little piece of paper towel and wipe off the extra because I don't want it to be super obvious. I just want it to give some depth to that part of the sign. So I'm going to do that on both of the hands and the nose. And you see the little shamrock there. That's not glued down yet. I just had it kind of sitting there. I'm going to glue it down on top of that flower. So the flower behind it will just give it some kind of a little bit more depth, and we'll turn it into that St. Patrick's Day gnome. Just going to wipe off the extra now. Tell me if you've ever used the silkscreen transfers or if you like doing the antiquing wax to just add a little distressing around the edges of things. I really like that weathered look that it gives a lot of projects, so I use it a lot. Okay, just getting his nose done now. I'm putting a little bit of the antiquing wax on the nose itself just to give it a little bit of, I guess the same word, dimension. I don't know what else you would call it. All right, so now I'm done with that. And I am going to grab my glue gun and I'm going to get working on putting the embellishments on. So I think I'm getting my glue gun right now. And what am I doing? Oh, if you don't know this trick, if you are putting in a new glue stick, put a little bit of hot glue on the end of it and then just poke it in there and glue it onto the other glue stick. And then it won't go flying out, which happens a lot if you just put it in there without doing that. Just a little tip there. So I'm going to glue that down real quick with some hot glue. Did my little twirl at the end to try to avoid the strings. It does help cut down on the strings. And I had toyed with, do I put a pom-pom on the end of the hat? But I had just gotten that container of green buttons and we had this really cool button and I thought it might be cute. And just put another littler button inside just to add a little bit to it. I put a couple of shamrocks on later. I cut them off of a piece of ribbon and you'll see on the final project there, I'm getting all the strings away. If you'll see on the final project that I have put them kind of as an embellishment on the brim of the hat. And there it is, cute, cute.